Okay. Hello. Just want to see if the sound works. See if the sound works here. Okay. Like the sound is working. Great. Okay. I posted an announcement before and the sound wasn't working. So no one could hear my announcement. And the announcement was we had to postpone this till now at 12 o'clock. But we're here now. And if you're joining us, great. And if you can't join us, you can always watch it later. That's fine too. Make sure you tune in. And let's get started. Let's get started here. A second. Okay. Just wanted to go over what we did the past few days, and we talked about how the whole point of Pesach and what Pesach is coming to tell us is that Hashem cares very much about us. Hashem wants to know everything we're doing. He wants to show us how much he cared through what happened with Mitzrayim and how we were at a place where nobody cared about us and we're treated like we didn't matter. Hashem showed us through everything that he did in Mitzrayim and taking us out how much he really cares about us. And the only way a Torah, having a Torah where a way to have a relationship with Hashem, the only way that works is if Hashem actually cares about us. Otherwise, why would you want to have a relationship? You don't want to have anything to do with somebody you don't care about. And then yesterday we talked about yesterday we discussed that there's two types of matzah that we have. And one is the matzah we had when we were slaves and when nobody cared about us and that's all we had. It was a terrible time. It was the type of thing that anybody could have it. It wasn't your favorite thing to eat. It wasn't something special. And it was just showed how we weren't special. And then later we got a different type of matzah, one that showed us how special we were, how much Hashem cares about us, how much he loves us, that he would rush us out of Mitzrayim and because of that, we had this type of matzah now. So today, if you have your Haggadah with you, if you have a Haggadah, let's pull out a Haggadah if you got one. Grab a Haggadah if you have one. Also, wait a minute. If anybody wants to go grab one. We'll just take a look inside the Haggadah. We can start looking inside, and we can start to notice a few things about what the Haggadah is doing for us. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you have a Haggadah, and you could turn to the beginning of Magid. So after we've washed without a bracha, and we have eaten our karpas, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's a potato or some other vegetable. We start in with Magid, and we already touched upon it yesterday, where we started with Lach Maanya, and we hold up the matzah, whoever's leading the Seder, or maybe everybody, depending on what you're doing. someone holds up the matzah and we look at the matzah and we're saying this is the same stuff that we ate when we were in a terrible position, terrible place in Mitzrayim, and it's something that kol dich v'yeseh whoever wants to come and eat, they can come and eat. Kol ditzrich yeseh v'yifsach. Whoever wants to come and partake can join us. So this kind of answers that question. There's a famous question when it comes to Lach Maanya. We say, whoever wants to come and eat, come and eat. Well, the question is, why are we saying this now when we're all closed up in our homes, right? Especially this year, we're all going to be closed up in our homes. So why are we saying, come and eat? Nobody's around. Nobody can hear you. I mean, when I open up my Haggadah and I look inside, it doesn't say, oh, and go open up your windows and your front door and yell out in the street. The only time we open our front door is later. And for somebody we can't even see. So here we're asking people to come and eat. Whoever wants to come and eat. Are we just tricking people? We're just we don't want people to come because it takes a lot to cook. And what if we only cook for 20 people, but then if we go and announce it, then like 500 people are to come. We wouldn't want that. It's not enough food. So we say it, but we don't say it in a public place. So why is that? Why we announce it where no one's really around to hear? So if we remember about what we were saying yesterday, that the type of bread that we're eating, the matzah, is just a type of food where anybody can come and eat it. It's a simple food that people who have nothing eat. And so anybody wants to eat it. So it's not an invitation. It's talking about the matzah itself. It's not talking about our meal and the wonderful food we're going to have later. It's describing and talking about the matzah that we have now. That whoever wants to come and eat, come and eat it. It's all for you. You could take as much as you want. We got lots to go around. Even though it costs a lot of money these days to get shmur matzah for the Seder. But technically it's very, very cheap. So the next part is the famous part of the Haggadah. Everybody knows it. Who knows what the next part is? If you got it there, following along. 7 people following along. Who's got it? Usually the youngest person in the room says it. That's a hint. We get somebody to respond. What do we say at the Haggadah that the youngest kids in the room say, and everyone listens to them say it in maybe 100 different languages or whatever language they know it in? So it's the Mah Nishtana. Nobody's answering here. Okay, so Mah Nishtana. So the Mah Nishtana is the next part in the Haggadah. And let's see how they translate it here. I think it's translated in every Haggadah as 4 questions. The 4 questions. So we're gonna change the way people think about this, because really, really it's not 4 questions. It's actually just 1 question in 4 parts. I know we all grow up learning, and all our Haggadah say 4 questions, but it's not really 4 questions. It's 1 question for 4 different parts. Let's take a look at it. The first one is, Mah Nishtana Laila Zeh Mikol Haleilos Shebechol Haleilos Anu Ochlin Chometz U'Matzah. So on what's different about this night from all other nights? Because on all other nights we eat chometz and matzah, but this night we only eat matzah. Then the next one is that all other nights we eat other vegetables. This night, all maror. All other nights we dip 1 time, but this night we're dipping twice. And all other nights we can either eat sitting or leaning, but tonight we eat leaning. So are these 4 questions, or really just one question with 4 examples? And if it is just one question with 4 examples, what is the one question we're asking? Who could tell me out there? Some people responding. Talking to an empty room. Okay, so the one question is, why is this night different than every other night? Well, I know why it's different than every other night, but what specifically? What about this night? What are we talking about? What differences compared to what other nights? And really, it's this night where we're doing this one big mitzvah of the Pesach Seder. Why is this different than every other mitzvah that we do? Seems to be something so different about it. And what is it? What is it that's so different? And that these other questions that we have, the 4 questions, which are really just 4 examples about how this night is different, what are they all pointing to? What are they all telling us? So again, the things that it's listing that are different. We eat chometz and matzah. Tonight only matzah. On other nights we eat all types of vegetables we want. Tonight only maror. Good. We have a little bit of an in-studio audience. On all other nights we dip just one time. Tonight twice. And the last one is all the nights we can eat however we want, sitting or leaning, but tonight we eat leaning. So these are all examples of differences on this night. So what's the question? Why is this night different than all the nights that we're doing?
Should I say?
Sure. These stuff. Yosef says, these stuff. Right? Tell me, what kind of stuff is this?
Stuff we barely ever do.
Stuff we barely ever do. But it's all things that we do. It's not just stuff we read, it's things that we do. We're dipping, we're eating, we're leaning. I think it's the other way. We're leaning. We're like, Maror, it's pretty bad. Want to, Maror is not very good. So all these things that we're doing, why are we doing things? Why are we acting? Why are we putting on a show? Why are we acting this way? Why we got all these props, all these things that we use at the Seder to do this mitzvah? Why don't we just tell over the story and that's it, be done, right? Why are we using all these different things? We're dipping, we're eating, we got the matzah, 2 types of matzah, we got leaning, and some people are sitting and then they're leaning the wrong way, and you're like, hey, lean the other way. And then you're like, don't lean backwards, you're gonna choke or something, you lean the right way. So why are we doing all these different things and different types of vegetables? So the answer is that, like we were saying before, it's not enough to just tell you about something. I could tell you that a long time ago, we were slaves and had it really, really bad. And that's fine. I could tell you that, but you'll never know what that's really like, and you'll never really understand it, and you'll never really understand what it means to be unimportant and then be really, really important and valuable if you don't feel it for yourself. So we set the table and we put all this stuff out there, all these props that we're going to use. And we're even going to bring in extra stuff that maybe isn't in the Seder, okay, like stuff for Makos and all that. Also, that we can actually feel it, we can experience it, we can do it all together, we can feel like we're actually there. Because the more we're going to feel it, the more we're going to feel how much Hashem cares about us by the end of the night. The more you feel like a loser, basically, at the beginning, the more you're going to feel like a winner at the end. So the more we're going to do that, the better. So why is this night different than every other night or every other mitzvah where we got all these props and we're doing all these different interactive things? Is because we want to really feel it. We don't want to just talk about it. We need to feel it. The more we're going to feel it, the more we're going to feel important and like winners at the end of the Seder. So we asked the question, great. And now we get supposedly the answer. And the next part is Avadim Hayinu. Okay? And everybody sings it. Avadim Hayinu. Right? Everybody sings it along. Okay? It's a great, everyone, I can hear people in the background singing it. It's great. And we say, we were once Avadim, slaves, terribly low people, to Paro in Mitzrayim. And then Hashem took us out from there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. And the ilu lo hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu es avoseinu miMitzrayim, harei anu uvanenu uvnei vanenu mishubadim hayinu lefar b'Mitzrayim. Hashem didn't take us out of there. We and our children, and our children's children, and their children, and their children's 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 children, children's children's children, children's 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 would have been avadim to Paro as well. Wait a second. Wait 1 second. So if it's a question about just why do we do all these different things at the Seder at night, then how does this answer the question, right? If it's, hey, why are we doing all these different things? Why are we dipping? Why are we leaning? Well, then maybe I would answer, oh, you know why we lean? Because we're free. Hey, you know why? You know why we dip twice? Because also to do with free. So it wouldn't really answer the question. But what we're saying now about how we need to experience things, this is an answer to the question. You know why we're doing all these things? Because we were avadim, we were slaves, and Hashem took us out of there. And had Hashem not showed us how much He cared about us, we still would have been a bunch of slave-like people to Paro. Paro would have been long gone like he is now. But as a people, how we feel and the value that we have would never have changed. We would have been a lowly people and never would have thought and noticed how important we really are. And so the Haggadah goes on and says, "Va'afilu kulanu chachamim, kulanu nevonim, kulanu zakenim, kulanu yodim es Torah mitzvah aleinu l'saper b'tzias Mitzrayim." Even if you are the smartest person, meaning you know a lot, you got all the information, you got the story, you got all the midrashim, you got it all in your head, you know everything, you're a know-it-all. Or you even beyond just knowing the facts, you understand so much more just beyond the facts of what happened. And even if you're an older person, so this is your 100th time doing a Seder, it's like, oh man, I'm 100, I know it already. Maybe just let me go to bed. Even if you know the entire Torah, you know everything, you know all there is to know, still a mitzvah for us to be misaper, to tell the story over of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and not just the story, but to interact in it and to do it and to feel it. Because it's not enough. It's not enough to just tell it over. You got to feel it. And anybody who goes above and beyond to tell the story of Mitzrayim, the more you go into it, the better it's going to be for you. The more you're going to experience it. And now, we're going to give an example. Okay? An example of people who went above and beyond, who experienced it so well that they're like the model Jews when it comes to doing the Haggadah and the Seder. Because there's a story. It once happened with Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarkel, that they were all sitting in Bnei Brak and they were being misaper, they were telling over, like really experiencing Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kol Osa Laila, the entire night. Ad Shabo Talmideim V'Amu Lahem Rabbeinu Higia Zman Kriya Shema Shel Shachris. Guys, Rebbes, we've reached the time of Kriya Shema. It's the morning, right? You got to say it. So now we have a question here. Let's ask a question on this story. What's the story telling us? Do we think that these Chachamim, these Tanaim, Okay, these aren't just regular Jewish people out there. This is Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva. Pretty sure everybody knows Rabbi Akiva. If you don't know who Rabbi Akiva is, look him up, Google it. Rabbi Akiva is a big deal. You think they'd miss? It's like you think they'd miss saying Shema in the morning. That's a mitzvah. It's like we don't have a story. We don't have a story of them going. Rabbi Akiva went to the marketplace, and he bought an apple, and he was about to take a bite out of it without saying a bracha, and one of his students said, "Wait, Rebbe, you got to make a bracha first." Right? We don't have a story like that. We don't have a story like that. So what's the story telling us? Okay, so here's what we're going to propose. No. Here's what we're going to propose. They got so into the story. I mean, these are giant people, and they were doing the Seder right. They were doing the Agada, and they were doing the Seder right. And they got so into it. They were so into being a slave that when it came time to do another mitzvah, they felt like they couldn't even remember. They were in such a mindset of being a slave that they couldn't even get out of it. They needed their students to come to them and say, "Hey, snap out of it. You're not a slave. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, and He gave us, and because He cares about us, and He gave us this Torah, and this Torah is how we interact and relate to Him, and show Him how much we care to each other. We gotta do this mitzvah. You're not a slave anymore." Even to the point that it's not enough, okay, so we go through it one night on the Seder, right? We go through it one night on the Seder, great. But this idea of feeling how important we are to Hashem goes just beyond the Seder, right? As we said, the first video we did, where we talked about how we mention Yitzias Mitzrayim in everything. We mention it in everything that we do, because we can't have any of the mitzvahs if we don't mean anything to Hashem. And so this mitzvah, while we do it one night, it has to affect us, and we see the value of it throughout the entire year and what it does for us. As the next story says, Amar Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah said, "Harei ani kaven shivim shana v'lo zachisi sheteamar yitzias Mitzrayim v'leilos ad shedrasha ben zoma." It was like I was 7 years old, and I'd never merited to understand why we got to say and mention Yitzias Mitzrayim every single night, not just by the Seder, but by saying when we say Shema every night. Until he heard the drasha of Ben Zomer, who said, "Laman tizkor es yom seischa me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha," in order that you shall remember that I took you out of Mitzrayim all the days of your life. So the words yemei chayecha refers to the days, hayamim, that you need to mention during the day. Kol, the word kol, yemei chayecha, that extra word kol tells me I also got to mention it at nighttime. I got to say Shema, and I got to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim by day and by night. Because it's so important. I need to remind myself all the time. Now, I'm only going to do it once a year. I'm going to do a big one where I'm going to actually feel what that's like. But I need to know it all the time so that I can feel, and I can know how much Hashem cares about me and how important I am to Him, so that I know what the Torah is all about. Someone said here, what did someone say?
The window's broken.
Someone was saying that they were telling the story over so much that one of their Talmidim had to remind them. Yeah, we can say that too, right? We can say that they were so engaged in it that somebody needs to tell them. But it goes and tells us, it strengthens what we're saying, in that they got into it. They didn't just say it over. They didn't just read it out. They got into it to the point that everything else that was going on around them was like nothing. They just totally forgot about everything else because you got to get into it. You got to get into it as much as you can.
No, we can pop it down.
Okay. וחכמים אומרים ימי חייך העולם הזה כל ימי חייך להביא משה Mashiach. And the Chachamim tell us that they say, no, it's a little bit different. Yemei chayecha in the pasuk, in the verse, the words Yemei chayecha means you got to mention it in this world now, where we are now, like before Mashiach comes. And the word kol, that extra word kol, comes to tell me that even the Moshe Mashiach, even after Hashem comes and brings us back and builds the base of Mikdash, everything is great. We still need to say it then. Well, if we're just saying over and going over to the Seder to remind us about, hey, you were slaves once, well, in the times of Moshe Mashiach, it just might be, why do we even need to remind us about that? It was so long ago. Everything's fine now. Because it's the foundation of our relationship with Hashem. It says that Hashem cares about us. Hashem wants to have a relationship with us. He cares so much about us. So even, especially in the Moshe Mashiach, we need to be reminding ourselves that all the time. Okay. That's the end of the first part. Now, let's just recap what we talked about in the halachos of Pesach, and then talk about the next halacha of Pesach. So, we talked about what chometz is. The chometz is flour and water and time. You got those 18 minutes. That's the difference between chometz and not chometz and matzah. And you got to get out of your house. The worst thing you could possibly have. Worst thing you could possibly have in your house. Everyone's going crazy, getting rid of the chometz out of their house, and so we got to get all that chometz out. And we said the Torah tells us you got to have 7 days without chometz. So you can't wait to the first day to get it out, because then you're already going to be started and you're going to have chometz in your house. So it has to be the day before. And since the first day of Pesach is the 15th, you got to get it out on the 14th. And we already do it. We start looking the night of the 14th. Bedikah chometz. We said don't use a torch. You might burn down your whole house. Don't sneak off into some other room of the house where and light up a giant torch and burn the house down. You need to use a candle, which is just one wick. And if it's too dangerous, we said you can use a flashlight. It's fine. We searched the whole house for
Chometz.
Search the whole house for chometz. We got to get it out. Got to get that chometz out of there. Okay. And the next morning, everyone's gonna have a great time. You're gonna go to shul. You're gonna make sure you bring your chometz along, and because after davening, after you go to shul in the morning, you got to go and burn that chometz. You got to burn the chometz. Make sure you got every single one. Make sure somebody in your house didn't hide an extra piece of bread somewhere where nobody would look, or maybe they put it right in the middle of the house. And since everyone's checking the corners, the one in the middle of the house, nobody even saw, hidden in plain sight. Make sure everything's out, and you take it with you, and you're going to take it to the shul. And there's going to be the fire department's probably going to be there. That's usually how they do it, because we can't have any unauthorized fires going on. I think if you're in Israel, there's fires going on everywhere. Every kid is would not advise us, but every kid is making a fire in their backyard and on the street, and dumpsters are blazing, and they're still burning till Lag BaOmer basically. And so you go to your local fire, and hopefully there's somebody supervising, and you're gonna throw it into the fire. You're gonna burn it. You're gonna burn that. You're gonna burn that chometz, right? Right. You're gonna burn that chometz, destroy it, obliterate it. Okay. But then there's something else we say. There's 2 ways that we get rid of chometz. The first one is the destruction of chometz. Destroy that chometz. Burn it. Yes, got to get that chometz, destroy it. The other thing that we do is we're going to say a special tefillah, a special, say something. And basically what that says is that if I have any chometz anywhere, I disown it. I don't want it anymore. It's not my friend. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's a dirty word in my house now, that chometz, get it out. And so not only do we destroy chometz, actually we burn it, destroy it, we also get it, we say in our minds, we say that if there's anywhere, I don't want it, it's not mine. We get rid of it from our minds as well. It's not just enough that we physically get rid of it, we also get rid of it from our minds. That's why the moles. That's why the moles are mentioned in the Torah. Why? You want to tell people?
Because if there's any chometz in your house, the mole will dig into your wall and you'll see a hole in your wall because the mole ate the chometz.
Okay. So you got to watch out for those moles and you got to get rid of the chometz. Okay. Everything has to go. And that needs to be done earlier in the day. That's got to be done earlier in the day before and you won't be able to have any chometz until after Pesach. However, you also can't have matzah because we can't have matzah until the first night, until Pesach actually begins. Because matzah is going to be new to you. You got to have an appetite for that matzah when the Seder begins. So we have this in-between time. I can't have chametz, so I can't have pizza or anything like that, and I can't have matzah, so I can't have the pizza that's the matzah that's like pizza. So what am I going to eat? So that's a good question. Start thinking about it now. Start thinking about fruits and vegetables, or potato kugels, or I don't know, whatever else. Just make sure it's not made of matzah, and make sure it's not made of chametz as well. Okay. Great. That concludes today's video. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. And if you're watching this later, thank you for watching it. Subscribe, like it, tell other people about it. We'll try to be back here again tomorrow. And if I have to make an announcement, I'll try to make sure that the sound is working so that you can hear the announcement. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Stay safe and be well.